Got the Belair back in the shop, gonna work on it a little bit. The reason I haven't been seeing much of it's because the transmission went out. I changed the fluid, and then about a week later, third and fourth gear were gone. So instead of putting another 4L60 in it, I went out and I found a TR6060 out of a 2015 Camaro. I was looking for a T56, but found this, and it'll be a little bit more difficult to make it work, but should be plenty beefy that I won't be able to tear it up very easily anyways. So we're going to get this thing up in the air, pull the 4L8, 4L60 out of it, and then try to see how much of the floor we're going to have to cut to make this thing fit up in there. Got the old transmission out, didn't record any of it because it started raining so hard you couldn't hear anything in here. I didn't want to have all that noise to deal with. So we got this transmission out, just your standard 4L60. And we got the new one here, which is a TR6060. Not actually that much bigger. I thought this one was a lot bigger than that one, but we might not have to cut much of the floor at all. Maybe a little bit back here in this area. Obviously, I'll need a hole for the shifter. This transmission is 2 inches shorter, roughly, than the 4L60 is. So it might fit a little better than I thought, but we're going to probably get this thrown up on the jack and then throw it up in there without the shifter on it, just to see how it looks and how the floor looks for clearance, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, got the new tranny up in there about as far as it'll go. We're hitting the floor, hard to see, but we're up to the motor, but the motor needs to tilt back forward since it was let down when the other tranny came out. So we're gonna cut the floor out from about right here where it starts to come down, or we might go up a little further. We'll cut all this out and get the tranny exactly where we want it, and then rebuild the floor afterwards so we can get this thing right where it needs to go before we try to mess with building the floor. So that's where we're at. We're going to make some marks and then pull this down and start cutting out my nice new floor. Okay, got the seats out and the front half of the carpet is out, which should be plenty. I'm going to get in here and vacuum some of this nastiness out of here before we get started. So we're probably going to end up cutting it from about right up here somewhere along this line all the way back to, I think it was right around here. We marked it on the bottom, but obviously can't see that from here. So it'll be somewhere from there to there. We'll get all that out. Try to cut it out in one piece so then we can just set it back on with a little bit of a spacer underneath it so it'll sit up a little higher, but we'll have plenty of room for transmission clearance. Okay, got the floor vacuumed out. Most of the dirt's gone. Got a rough line of where I'm going to cut. I'm going to try to cut it just above where it goes to the flat part on the floor, so I'll have a bit of a flange to add onto whenever I redo the hump in the middle. Going all the way up to there. If we have to go any further, we will, but I'd like to try to retain that factory hump there. But you can see right here where the floor was a little rusty, and when we jacked the tranny up, it actually poked through, so I know that has to go. So we're going to cut that out, and we'll be back when there's a massive hole in the floor. Okay, we got all this cut out all the way to here and on both sides, and because of space up there, we're going to get the plasma cutter and go along this arch, and then we should be able to put the transmission back up in from the bottom, and hopefully the hole's big enough. Got the big hole cut in the floor. Hopefully that's big enough. We're going to get this thing back up in the air, raise the tranny back up, and see how close we got. We might have to cut this brace but I'm going to try to leave it for now just for, you know, bracing the floor. So we'll get this thing on the lift, raise it up, and see how close we got. Got the transmission in the car, just got 2 bolts holding it up there where it goes. Got plenty of room now. With the hole in the floor, the shifter will end up sitting right up here on top of this brace, which will work out pretty good, I think. So we'll get a way to hold this in here, and then we can let the car down and work on that part of it. But probably have to just move these cross member mounts, cut them off, slide them back, bolt them back on, and then we'll have to modify this because this has the old style little 2 bolts, and this has a wider 2-bolt flange on it. So we'll modify that a little bit so it'll bolt up, and then we'll have the tranny mounted so we can work on all the little stuff like drive shaft and the clutch pedal and all that. Got the old cross member out, and instead of trying to reuse the mounts that are in the car and moving them, I just got some angle iron here, which will be plenty heavy, and you can't really see it, but I got my holes marked, and I'm getting ready to drill some holes. That way we'll bolt those to the cross member, put them up where they go, and then weld them in place, and then that'll be mounted. And we're also going to modify where the mount goes, because the one on the transmission, as we showed earlier, is different. So we'll probably cut that off and put another wider piece on it where we can drill 2 holes in it. Okay, here's what we're doing to the cross member. All I did is I cut, you can see where I cut it, and we flattened it. And that will give us room to drill our new holes right on the outside. And then to add the strength back in, we've got some material that's just about like that. It's a little flat bar, and we'll weld it from there up to the corner, and that'll give us our rigidity back. So I'm going to get this cleaned up, drill some holes, and get that all ready to go back in the car, and we'll have this transmission mounted tonight. Okay, here it is inside the car. Got plenty of room. We'll build us a new tunnel. We're going to try to maybe reuse the old one with a little bit of a spacer down here, but I think it'll be easier just to start over. This shifter, we'll probably raise it up about so it's about level, and then build us a brace that it will bolt to here. That's about it. Got the drive shaft. We'll go through there. Looks like there'll be it'll be tight, but there should be room for it. But that's going to do it for this video. This was part 1 of mounting the TR6060 in the Belair. So thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and leave a comment below.